Hello, and welcome back to The Exchange. The Sound of Music returns to Denver this summer as the national tour comes to the Buell Theater from July 29th through August 2nd. More than 65 years after its Broadway debut, Rodgers and Hammerstein's classic musical continues to captivate audiences with the story of Maria, the Von Trapp family, and one of the most recognizable scores in musical theater. Joining me today is Christiane Noll, who stars as Mother Abbess. Christiane is a Tony Award nominee and two-time Drama Desk Award nominee, whose Broadway credits include Ragtime, Dear Evan Hansen, Chaplin, Elf, Jekyll and Hyde, and Miss Saigon. She also appeared in The Sound of Music Live and has performed as a symphony soloist with more than 100 orchestras around the world. Denver audiences may recognize her from previous productions with the Denver Center Theater Company, and I'm thrilled that she's here to discuss The Sound of Music as it makes its way to the Mile High City. Let's begin. Thank you so much for joining me today, Christiane. I'm excited to speak with you.
Thank you for having me. This is going to be fun.
Now, you'll be here from July 29th through August 2nd at the Buell Theater for The Sound of Music, which is such a classic production and piece. Are you excited for it?
Oh, well, we've been on the road since we're at the end of our first year. So yes, I've been thrilled to get to know this piece more intimately and bring it all across the country. It's been dare I say, a dream role. I didn't know it was when I first took it. I thought, oh, Mother Abbess, I don't know about this, but it has turned into such a rewarding, amazing experience because this show is beautiful and audiences already are obviously familiar with it because of the film and watching the intergenerational thing. That's been my most favorite thing I think about bringing it everywhere has been seeing parents and grandparents and bringing their kids or their grandkids and watching all these first time theater goers, because I think that's what The Sound of Music represents for a lot of people. It might be the first time they've ever actually seen a musical live, so it's turned into something really iconically wonderful.
I'm so glad to hear it. And I'm wondering, when you transform the storyline to the stage, what are some of the special moments and takeaways that we get that we wouldn't necessarily get from watching the film?
Well, the thing with the film, it's indelibly printed, I think, in our collective consciousness, and how these characters say these lines and what they look like and what they bring to it. And I think anytime you go into a live theater where you're seeing real people, not just going and sitting in a movie theater and here's the performance that we have captured on film and it's going to be the same every time we see it. You see real people who are not those people that they got in the film. So they're going to bring their own bits to it. They can't help but not, because we're all different. If you decided to tell a story about what the same show, it's going to come out differently than if I was going to tell it. It can't not. So I think what was been wonderful is Jack O'Brien. He collected an incredible group of actors that were both honest and kind and generous and talented, obviously, but really able and willing and wanting to kind of look at these characters out of the book, and who are they, and not just worry about, because Lord knows I'm not the 103-year-old Mother Abbess or however old she was in the film. I mean, she's gorgeous and what a beautiful performance that we know. But there's not, even in this conversation, I'm not bringing that.
No.
And I can't. But I'm not, and I'm not her. So thankfully, he allowed me to once we established that, she's stern, she's in charge, she doesn't like being stern, perhaps, how to bring my goofiness to it without it being too distracting and still telling the story that needs to be told. And I think we've all found our way through it that way, which makes it um, particularly wonderful, I think, for an audience to experience because they go in thinking they know it, but then they see just little dimensions of things that are going to be a little bit different. And so they hear it almost like it's for the first time, that they don't realize, wait, did you change these words? Did you change the scene? No, that's how it was always written, but you're going to hear it differently because you are an audience in 2026 where things are going to resonate in a different way. And for it to be a classic piece of, golden musical theater, it is so timely and really pertinent to I think what we're all going through.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, especially with different conversations politically about immigration and about world conflict and just so many things. And I have so many questions. You just mentioned so many amazing points.
Even there's a line that friends of mine saw early on, and they're like, "You wrote that in," and it's
Mm,
um, no, he when he's talking to his 9-year-old daughter about how I'm afraid nobody's really enjoying themselves here. None of the people that I invited are talking to each other, and she's like, well, maybe they're enjoying not speaking to each other, and that uh, I don't know who to invite. Who knows what's like it just
right.
it was happening then, it's happening now.
Yeah. You mentioned something about the intergenerational aspect of this production, movie, book. And that is a good point. I think when we're watching it at different points in time, those nuances really stick out. I know when I watched it when I was much younger, it carried so much of a different meaning than when I watched it when I was older. So I'm curious to know about the intergenerational performance itself. What is it like being on stage with people of all different ages who carry their own lived experiences and are bringing this story to life?
I think it's intrinsic in the nature of the storytelling of this piece. I mean, our kids are kids. I mean, they're performers and they're professional and they're doing their job, but they are children. So sometimes they're engaged and they're locked in and they're wanting to, and sometimes they're children, just like anytime you're dealing with the kids in a room, sometimes some of them are sitting and eavesdropping and wanting to know what's going on, and others are just sort of looking around. But and that's who they are. But push comes to shove, they remind us of why we're doing this.
Mm,
Their enthusiasm, their commitment to what they're doing. They have to go to school every day. We have tutors that travel with us. So they're in doing whatever their home school, wherever they're from, because they're from all over the country. So now obviously they're on summer break, but they're going on field trips that are not just for fun. They're learning constantly. And so they have to go and do all of that. And then they come to the theater and still do the show and are enthusiastic and excited and fun and just have a grand time. And so that's them. And then you have the youngins. Like, I think that we call them the Van Traplings. So I think of them as the younglings. And then we have like the youngins, which I think are sort of in their 20s, and they're at the beginning of their career. And I remember what that was like and how hungry I was and how, excited, enthusiastic, ready for everything and wanting to just take a bite out of all of it. And so they bring that energy. And then we have the people sort of that are in their 30s and 40s that are a little bit more, they've been going around, they're sort of not sure, is this what it is? I don't know. I'm happy to be here. This is great. And then you have grandma, and there's a couple of us that are in our 50s, and to be able to be in this position and sort of look back on all the other ones and go, oh, I see. Oh,
yeah.
wow, it does make sense that I'm playing Mother Abbess because she's been there, and I just by virtue of being around for a long enough time. There's a wisdom that happens. Not that we know all the answers, but we're not rushing around so much trying to prove. I mean, that just happens.
Right.
I would never have imagined myself to be excited to just kind of sit and relax. Thought, who is that person? But
Yeah.
yeah, that energy, all of those energies mix to tell all the different phases of this story, because there are characters that are in their different parts of their lives and why they're choosing to react the way they do. And so anybody coming to see this is going to latch on to something. I think that's what makes it such a brilliant piece of theater.
Nice. Well, you mentioned Mother Abbess quite a bit, and I know that's your character, but for those who are totally unfamiliar with The Sound of Music,
Yeah.
explain to me a little bit about who Mother Abbess is and her role in this beautiful storyline.
Well, as a wonderful young, she must have been about 8 years old. She was like, early on, we did a talk back, and she said, "Well, you're the most important person in the show." I said, "Oh, really? Tell me why." But the way the show is constructed, I'm the first person you see, and I'm the last person you see. And I also end Act One, and I'm sort of like the cuckoo clock into, or the bookend, to try to push this story along. We're following Maria. That's the Julie Andrews character. So, and her journey to discover what how is she going to give the love that she has so much to give. She thinks it's supposed to be in the convent, at the abbey, and I am Mother Abbess. I am the head nun at the abbey, and it's my responsibility to bring these people in and train them and make sure. But there's something about her that perhaps maybe reminds me a little of myself, that of who I might have been. But
Ah,
I took one road, and I recognize things in her that maybe she needs to take a different road. And rather than telling her no, I say, "Here, you're going to go and you're going to see the world a little bit. You're going to go out and help this family. You're good with kids. They're going to let," and, things happen, and she has to sort of figure out what that feels like and what she does with all of that information, and comes back, and I gave her some hard truths, and that's sort of her journey. And even like at the end, when, because we all know about the Von Trapps coming out of Nazi Austria prior to the war. We don't know what's about to happen, us characters. As an audience, we know exactly what happens, but our characters don't know. We know there's something dangerous coming, but we don't know what it is. But they have to get out. And so I help them. I open up the gates and say, you're going to go over the mountains. And they go over the mountains and into Italy, and then on, and end up in America. I think they settled in Vermont, because this is actually
oh,
based on a true story.
oh, wow. I didn't
Yeah.
know that.
The Von Trapp family became a singing sensation and traveled the world and then settled in the mountains of Vermont.
Oh my
Uh,
gosh.
uh,
I'm going to watch this with a whole brand new
Yeah.
perspective after like a million times.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for sharing that. I want to look more into the true story and really dig into their journey.
Well, Mother Abbess is, I think a lot of there was a woman, her name was Sister Gregory. We got to go to the Library of Congress when we were playing in DC, and they pulled out all of this memorabilia and original lyric sheets and notes and letters and just incredible little bits of historical wonderment, gems and jewels of that. And there was a woman named Sister Gregory who was friends with Mary Martin, because this story was written for Mary Martin. And they actually lifted a lot of Sister Gregory's missives and things that she wrote in some of these letters about she had read early versions of the script, she had seen uh, little run throughs of the show, and then would write letters giving her feedback. And they actually used words that she wrote and put them in the script. So for that, what Mother Abbess would say, or
Wow.
yeah, it's quite a lot more than what we walk away with just when we're sitting watching the movie. Like when you start really digging into like you were saying, digging into the real lives of these people,
Right.
it's quite something.
Well, I'd like to dig a little more into your real life. And you referred to yourself as the grandmother on stage, which
Well,
I would
I
never
did
imagine.
try.
Well, you can't tell. But, I know The Sound of Music is very vocally demanding. It is a musical about music, somewhat,
Yes.
after all. And so it requires a lot, I'm sure. I'd love to know a bit more about your background. When did you first start singing, get involved in theater? And what has your journey been like on stage?
Well, my father was a conductor and my mother was an opera singer, operetta, really. They did a lot of Gilbert and Sullivan, uh, American and European light opera. So that's what I was raised on. And I was on stage at age 4 for the first time. So, and always singing, always just making sounds. And they put me on stage with them, little walk-ons and cameos, because I would tour around with them
Oh,
rather than staying home. Sometimes I would stay home with my grandmother, but a lot of times they just be like, "Here, put this on, go do this." So, being in and around the theater and in and around professional musicians was definitely something that I was raised in. Um, but with some pushing, because anytime I think even people who are raised in the circus, they probably go through the notion of, well, just because I was raised in the circus, don't want to be in the circus. And
yeah.
so when I was in school, I kind of thought, oh no, I'm going to do something else. I don't want to do. But I had teachers that recognized whether it was in the choruses or doing the plays, and they start to say, audition for this. Here's this play. We're going to do it because you're in it. And, they kind of nudging me in that direction. And, you have enough of those experience. Well, I went to Carnegie Mellon University and I studied voice there. And while I was there, I had a series of wonderful experiences. And that has turned into, now looking back, a career. I sang with symphony. I've been through Denver so many times, whether it's with a show or singing with the Denver Symphony. Um, I've had the chance of traveling all over the world singing with symphony orchestras. I've done a number of tours and a number of Broadway things. More recently, I've done a little bit of film and TV stuff. So it's just but it hasn't. It's been. It kind of creeps up on you, because I think as a young performer, you keep thinking, oh, I'm going to work with this person. It's going to lead to that. And then if I did this, and I'm going to do their next 3 shows. And then it just keeps moving. And this business does not work like that at all. It is not a meritocracy. It is very, you sit and you're doing nothing. And then something really cool happens. And then you sit and do nothing. And then something like not so good happens. And then, oh, that was interesting. Oh, that I don't know what I'm doing here. But it's very disparate. And not until you get to the end of it, do you realize, oh, wait, I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, because all the things that I've done have strangely led me to this point. So I
Yeah.
sing all different kinds of music, but this definitely was the biggest, in terms of the most preparation, because I sang a lot of some operetta when I was younger, but this is a bigger, fuller sound, and trying to learn how to sing "Climb Every Mountain." It's a beast. It's a big song. And,
Yeah.
so I did a lot of work and a lot of soul searching, of just kind of, trying, giving myself some grace and time, and realizing that I'm going to be harder on myself than anybody around me. So let's
Mm.
kind of just sort of see where this goes. And thankfully, we've had the benefit of being able to do it for almost a year. So now it's fun. Now I can sort of figure out. I know where it's going. It's a little different every night, and all the actors, especially Kayla Capaldi. I do most of my scene work with her. We are playful and different and alive, and we all sort of ready, going, okay, what's she going to do tonight? And I think she does the same with me, which is wonderful. And I really I recognize just such an incredible gifts that she has, and I'm grateful to share them.
Mm, that's lovely. And, it sounds like The Sound of Music could almost follow your own story a little bit with your parents allowing you to be on stage. That's just so cute. Oh my gosh.
This show, I mean, it's funny because so many of the people in the adult company, some of their earliest uh, stage experiences were in The Sound of Music. Kevin Early, I think he started as Kurt, and then we had someone else, and who was Marta, or like that. Everybody has been seen this a lot, known it, been in it, grown up with it.
Yeah.
I have done two versions of this prior. I was in the Carrie Underwood. I was Sister Margareta when NBC did it live,
Right.
and the Salzburg Marionette Company that did the puppetry work in the film, that ever is a real puppet troupe. They finally, about 20 years, 15 years ago, realized we should make a version of The Sound of Music. And
Oh.
so they have a marionette version, which is still touring around, and I am the voice of Maria in that. So yeah,
Wonderful.
it's been wild to see how it all, the intergenerational,
Yeah.
moments of this.
Yeah. Well, and you also mentioned having been to Colorado before. I've heard nothing but great things about your roles with the theater company here. And so you're acclimated to our air, I'm sure, at least a little bit. So
Oh,
don't makes me
yeah.
happy.
I always I don't mind the I know they have oxygen. I've never partaken because for whatever reason, maybe it's we'll see now, but every time when I come, I've been like singing high, and
Oh.
they it almost flies. I think it's like hitting a golf ball. You can hit it further at altitude. It's like singing
Oh,
high notes at altitude, just go wee.
that's
So
a great analogy.
I'm excited. So far, last night was fine because we're a bit at altitude right now. We're in Reno at the moment, so so far so good.
Well, with all of your skills and experience, do you teach vocal lessons?
I do. I do. I have been juggling a few students while I am on the road. This forum makes it actually really easy. I have a couple students in Egypt, which is
Oh,
wild, and then some in Florida and Texas. And I've actually, one of the moms that is what of one of our kids, I'm teaching her. One of our kids, I'm giving them lessons. I have a bunch back home in our hotel. So it's not that I have opened up a studio, and because I still am doing it, and but the ones that need me seem to find me, and we make time, and it's been a wonderful luxury that I actually am cherishing more and more as we do, because I become a better actor and a better singer for getting to work with other people and see what it is that they need, and my communication skills to try to kind of, oh, if they did this would be how about if you try, and again, like, I don't claim to have the answers, but there's a playful nature that I bring, that I'm kind of like, I love that, let's try something else.
love it. Well, Christiane, I cannot wait to see you in Denver. I wish you the best of luck in
Thank
Reno.
you.
Thank
It's
you
so
so
nice to
much.
talk to you. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate you spending this time with me and sharing things that I didn't even know about the sound of music. I can't wait to explore more.
Well, I hope you enjoy our show, and we'll see you in a few weeks.